Dear children, kindly take out Standard 6 Social Science, Chapter 10, page number 85. Today, I am going to teach you about main features of Southern Kingdoms. Economic. The kingdoms of the south were very rich. They had plenty of natural resources and a flourishing trade. Important source of revenue was land. Revenue was used to maintain a large army, ensure good administration, and to give grants to poets and scholars. Spices, especially pepper, gold, precious stones, pearls, and fine muslin and silk cloth were exported to Europe. West Asia, Southeast Asia, and China. Roman ships visited the port of Arica Mendu to exchange goods. Religion. The god of war. Murugan was worshipped in South India by most of the people. Shiva was worshipped primarily by the higher caste people. Sea god was also worshipped by those who lived in the coastal areas. Children, see god of war. Next, we'll see social life. Most of the people lived in villages only. Traders lived in cities. Rice, vegetables, fruits, meat, butter, honey, fish, etc. were the main food eaten by the people. Women had great respect in society, having equal status like men. Administration. The ultimate power was held by the king. A council of ministers advised him on administrative matters. Local bodies took care of administrative issues of villages and districts. The Silk Route. The Silk Route. Trade brought India into contact with distant lands. The rich glossy colors of silk made it a highly valued fabric in societies. The silk was popular among the traders. Techniques of making silk were first invented in China around 7,000 years ago. The path they followed came to be known as the Silk Route because silk was the most important commodity traded along this route for a long time. Starting from China, it ran across Central Asia and stretched up to the Roman Empire. Some kings tried to control large portions of the route. This was, children, turn the page. This was because they could benefit from taxes and gifts that were brought by the traders traveling along the routes and, in return, protected them from robbers. The Kushanas were successful in extending their control over the Silk Route about 2000 years ago. Wearing silk became the fashion amongst rulers and rich people in Rome. It was very expensive as it had to be brought all the way from China along dangerous roads through mountains and deserts. People living along the route often demanded payments for allowing traders to pass through. This was profitable for both. Buddhism came to China along this route. Caravans traveling along the Silk Route brought Chinese inventions and discoveries. These discoveries had a powerful influence on cultures across the world. Spread of Buddhism. India's contact with other lands increased greatly during this period as a result of to the spread of Buddhism. The most important center of Buddhism was Afghanistan. The first step in the spread of Buddhism to Central Asia was due to the missionary activities of Emperor Ashoka. He sent missionaries to many places in Central Asia to popularize Buddhism during the reign of the King Kanishka. Also, many Indian missionaries went to Central Asia. He organized a Buddhist council where scholars met and discussed important matters. A new form of Buddhism known as the Mahayana Buddhism developed. In the old form called Hinayana Buddhism, Buddha was not worshipped, it was the simple form of Buddhism. In the Mahayana system, idols of the Buddhism began to be worshipped. It had many rituals and ceremonies. The idea of the Bodhisattva developed. The worship of Bodhisattva became very popular and spread throughout Central Asia, China, and later to Korea and Japan. In western and southern India, dozens of caves were made on the order of the kings and the queens for monks to live in. These were often located near passes through the western Ghats. Traders probably halted in these cave monasteries during their travels. The older form of Buddhism is known as Theravada Buddhism. The quest of pilgrims. The spread of trade was closely connected with the spread of Buddhism in the ancient period. Many Chinese pilgrims came to India. The best known of these Chinese Buddhist pilgrims was Faiyan, who came to the subcontinent about 1600 years ago. Fensa and first Vensa and Tissing visited India to learn more about Buddhism and study Buddhist texts. Their accounts give us information about the king of life that prevailed in India and Central Asia during the 5th and the 7th centuries. These are important sources of history. Spread of Bhakti movement. This was also the time when the idea of Bhakti became popular. The concept of Bhakti originates from the Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita is a part of the great epic, the Mahabharata. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna asks his devotee Arjuna to surrender in him as only he can set him free from every evil. The term bhakti means devotion or complete surrender before the Lord. In bhakti, there is no place for desire, only sacrifice. This was also the time when the worship of certain deities, which became a central feature of later Hinduism, gained importance. Bhakti is generally understood as a person's devotion to his or her chosen deity. Anybody, whether rich or poor, belonging to the higher or low caste, could follow the path of bhakti. People believed if a devotee worshipped the chosen deity with a pure heart, the deity would appear in the form in which he or she might desire. So the deity could be thought of as a human being, lion, tree, or any other form. Once this idea gained acceptance, artists made beautiful images of these deities and kept them as special place of worship temples. The idea of the bhakti movement later became the central feature of Hinduism. Okay, students. Here the meanings are given: black gold, internal trade, external trade, bhakti, pilgrim, the Dakshinapatha, Bodhisattvas, Kshatriyas, Gandhara art. These meanings you write down in the SST copy and learn. Thank you.